well. So I'm just gonna jump right in. The last video I left off, I got married. So I was 27 years old when I got married. Was with him for 7 years, of course, obviously before I got married. I was 6 months pregnant when I got married. The whole wedding thing, it went okay, but then of course there were things that happened like the day of the wedding, even after we got married. Some things happened to where, it threw me off and him off, so we even was mad at each other after we got married. So all of that stuff was obviously, a red flag. But so not too long after the wedding, my ex-husband's grandmother passed away, which was a very sad time for all of us. We were still living in her house at the time. He had started his own trucking company. He had got a CDL and wanted to create his own business, and so he will start his own business. And so he got a CDL and started a trucking company, which I was 100% backing him. I was supportive of anything and everything that he always wanted to do. So he decided to do that, which caused him to be away a lot, of course, because he's a trucker. So he was away a lot of the time, which caused a little bit of problems within our relationship, just because of already how I am. I don't trust. I get married and I still don't trust everything about him and all that stuff. So with him being away most of the time, it caused problems. So marriage was it was good. Me personally, I like being married. So the thought of being with someone and being married, and just because of just who I am, I like to take care of things. So I like to take care of the people I love, and I don't mind being a wife. It was just basically to who. We had our differences, and prior to even getting married, so still jumping into this marriage thing without all of that being resolved, of course, illuminated a lot of it once you're married. And I wasn't good with money, so I let him take care of, that I was that type of wife. You handle all the bills. I don't want to have to deal with it. I don't want to look at any bill. You just pay it all, and just make sure I got some money to spend. So that's kind of how I was. I cooked, I cleaned as far as he'll tell you differently of the cleaning aspect. He doesn't like the way I clean, but I clean. That was basically most of our arguments in being married. Our arguments were so petty, like very petty. And it was just because we didn't like how each other was. I didn't like what he did. He didn't like what I did. So, and he didn't like how I did things. I didn't like how he did things. And not too much me. I didn't like how he did things. I don't like how, I didn't like how he wanted things done. So, like, for instance, let me give you an example. So if I'm cleaning something, or if my children are cleaning something, I tell them to clean something and they're cleaning something, he will walk in the house and, oh, why is it done this way? Why didn't y'all do it this way? Why didn't you do it this way? Come back over here and redo. No. We're not doing that. So that's how the arguments would start. Like, you want it done a certain way, then you go ahead and do it. Because I'm not that type of person. I'm very laid back. So if I see something that needs to be done, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to tell somebody else to do it. And he's the opposite. if he sees something that needs to be done, he will tell somebody else to do it. And I'm like, you just go do it. You see it, you go do it. And that was the arguments in the house. So whether it be laundry, folding a certain way, he was that anal about stuff. Like, he wanted things done his way. And if it wasn't done his way, then he had an issue. And then I had an issue, because you're not about to tell me how you want things done when I'm doing it my way. So we had arguments like that. And trust me, when those arguments happened, you know, it made me mad. So when I get angry, I get angry. And when I get angry, my mouth ain't too nice. And so, yeah, I take it like if somebody takes it right here, I'm gonna take it way over there. So, and that's how I am all the time. And that's my toxic trait. I know that. I know that when I get into arguments where if I'm fighting, I'm gonna fight and I'm gonna argue and I'm gonna do it well to where, you know, I'm gonna say the last word. And what I say goes, and if you're gonna keep going, I'm gonna keep going. That's just how I was, you know, that's how I was brought up. It's how I always did things. And he was the type of person to where, you know, he had to have the last word too, or he just wouldn't be quiet, or in my words, he wouldn't shut up. So, you know, I'm gonna keep going. I say that because, you know, not long after his grandmother passed, we had a really ugly fight. It was about his company. He had several guys working for him, driving the trucks for him, and he had an issue with one of the guys that was driving the truck, and he had come to me to tell me about it. I don't remember all that was said. I just know that I remember saying, you know, well, I told you this was going to happen. This is the way this person is, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I'm telling him if he would have listened to me the first go around, he wouldn't be going through what he's going through. And, of course, he didn't like me saying that. So he comes back with some mess. And then I come back. And we're fighting at this point. And then it escalated. We're fighting. Like, because if you're going to argue and fight with me, I'm going to argue and fight with you. Like, if you want to fight and you want to argue, I'm going to take it there. So we're fighting. And it escalates. I mean, it gets so bad over something so petty. And mind you, I'm 7-8 months pregnant. So I am so mad at this point. Because I don't know what he said to me to make me just go, like, crazy. His grandmother, you know, like I said, we were in her house, and she had all her stuff still in the house. So, she had a table, a dining room, like a kitchen table, and this kitchen table on the top was marble, and it was a heavy. You know, if anybody's picked up marble, it was very heavy, and that top of the table was marble, and I got so mad, and I started, you know, like I said, my mouth is very nasty. I'm like cursing at him, and then I start bringing up his grandmother that just died. So I say some things, and then I go over to her table, and I pick up the top of the tabletop, the marble tabletop, and I throw it. That thing hit the floor, and I don't know if like some pieces came off of the marble, but he got so mad that I touched his grandmother's stuff. He came at me and was in my face like cursing at me, and I'm cursing back. We over here, and he's doing that to me, so now I'm hitting. So now I'm fighting. I'm hitting, I'm punching. He pushes me, and as he pushes me, I fall to the floor. And before I can get back up, he grabs my feet, and he's dragging me across the living room floor to the back door. So I'm trying to kick him as he's holding my feet. And he drags me out the back door, and then he goes back in the house and locks the door. Like he threw me out. So yeah, now that really got me going. So now I'm heated. Like I am so angry at this point. I'm yelling, screaming, and cursing outside, and I'm banging on this door. And I'm to the point to where I'm looking around like, I'm gonna break these damn windows. Like, I'm gonna break the whole, I'm gonna burn this whole entire house up with you in it. That's how I'm thinking. Like, I'm so mad. So I'm looking around at something to break these windows with. And as I'm looking around, I see my purse outside. And I'm trying to figure out how my purse got outside, but I'm like, oh. So I just go back in my purse and I'm looking through the purse and I get my keys and I just open the damn door and walk back in. So as I'm walking back in, I'm cursing at him now. Now he's cursing at me. But this is the type of arguments that we would get in. So it wouldn't be like just a regular argument. These arguments would escalate to that all the time. Like, there was plenty of occasions to where I get so upset to where I'm literally fighting and he's trying to hold me down. I know that's something that I had to work on with myself after I got out of that relationship with him. I knew it was something with me to where my anger is an issue. Like, my anger is an issue. I know it is. So it's something that I've been working on, been trying to work on, and just figure out the root cause and root problem, which is what I'm doing. Because, like I said, even though I do get physically violent, the words that I speak or have spoken to him was very, very nasty. It was very hurtful, very, it was things that, anybody, I don't even see how anybody would stay with someone who spoke that way, to be honest with you, and how he stuck it out that long with what I would say to him. I know, words hurt, a lot more than, physical pain. Words stick with you, what people say. And I know I cause a lot of pain with the words that I've spoken, not only to him, but the people that were in my life or in my life. I know I have caused a lot of pain with what I say. So, that's something that I am working on within myself, which I have. I've had to learn how to apologize. It was hard for me for a long time to learn how to apologize. I never wanted to say I'm sorry, because to me, I wasn't sorry. Like, I say things and, that's what you get. Like, that's how my attitude was. Like, I'm not saying sorry. I'm not apologizing for what when I'm right. That was my attitude towards a lot of things. But I've grown to understand that, I don't mean what I say. I'm just very angry. I'm so angry that I want to see people hurt the way I'm hurt. And that's really what it boils down to. When I fought, I wanted to hurt people. Like, if I didn't see them hurt, I needed to dig a little bit deeper so I can hurt them. Like, I needed to figure it out. And I did, and it was bad. And I realized that I like to see people hurt and wanted to see them hurt because I was hurting. I was hurt. So I took that pain and took that out on other people. And it made me feel good afterwards. Like, that made me feel good to see them hurt. Not long after that, I gave birth a couple months later, to a baby girl. And I thought I was going to go in there and be a champ like I was with my first pregnancy when I was 18 years old giving birth, and now I'm 27. I thought I was going to go in there and be like, I'm having this baby, it's going to be in and out. And with no drugs, my first pregnancy, I didn't have no epidural. I just went in there and had the baby. I thought the second time around was going to be just like that. Man, I got into that hospital, had my contractions, and I said, where's the freaking medicine right now? Like, I want the epidural now. Like, it was not happening for me that second time around. I was like, no, I ain't strong enough. Medicate me now. Like, medicate me. But I ended up, giving birth to a healthy baby girl. So also I want to mention, after I had my first daughter, I had no plans of having any other children. Like, I didn't want any other children. And I think that was a lot to do with my upbringing and my mother. You know, she instilled in us that, you know, children, you know, stay away, you know, don't have children. If you want to enjoy your life and live, you know, don't have kids. And so when I had my first child, I knew, I just had it in me that I wasn't going to have any more children. When I got married, when I got pregnant with my second daughter, before I got married to him, I knew, you know, once we got married, it would be okay. But I still was on the edge of, like, I didn't know if, you know, I'm having another baby, but I don't know if my heart and my head are there to have this baby. Once I got married, those feelings kind of went away. Because I had a husband, so I thought, you know, this is going to be better. It's going to work out for the best. And he wanted children. He wanted 2 children, and it was something that we kind of disagreed before we had gotten married, or even before I've gotten pregnant. He knew I didn't want any more children, but he wanted 2. But it wasn't so off the table with me. So when that happened, of course, you know, we get married and it was okay afterwards. Like I said, he was away a lot with this trucking job, and that brought more issues. Again, like I said previously, it caused a lot of issues. And he decided to, you know, get out of trucking, and he became a teacher. And then once he taught for a couple of years, he became the principal of the school. He was at home more now, so he was at home and to help me out with the kids and everything else. Our relationship between this time, even after the second child, we were still, like I said before, we had those physical altercations and those arguments while pregnant. After I gave birth to our daughter, our relationship wasn't so much physical fighting anymore. It was just a lot of petty arguments. When it was good, it was good. But like I said, when it was bad, it was bad. So it wasn't like there was this happy medium. It was just, when it was good, we had the good days. When it was bad, we had the bad days. And it was up and down, up and down. I was always angry. I was always irritated. Like I said before, I was just an angry person. I was an angry person. It's sad to say. I was always angry. I was always irritated. Everything he did irritated me. And I kind of felt still alone, even when I was married and had kids. I didn't feel like the connection, or like we connected, the connection was there. I was still alone to me. 3 years later, I ended up getting pregnant again. And so, of course, my mother, when we tell her this, you know, she is just like, again, Tiffany, because like I said, when it comes to her and people having kids, she has issues with this. It's so weird, because even if it's not us, even if it's her friends that are married, people who are married and they have a life and they're having children, her reaction is, ugh, they're having kids. That's her reaction. It's so weird. She would always tell us, oh God, don't have no more kids. Stop having kids. All this stuff. Y'all need to be having kids. I wish all these people would stop having kids. That's the main thing that always comes out of her mouth. And why are these people having kids? And it's like, there's something wrong with you. This is what people do. We're human beings. We have kids. We create life. So what humans do. When she found out with my 3rd pregnancy, she was like telling me, don't have no more kids, Tiffany. Stop having kids. And I'm just like, okay, I'm married. Okay. My third pregnancy was a turning point for me, to be honest. And I'm not just saying in my marriage, but spiritually. I hadn't I was going to my ex-husband's church every once in a while because his family is very religious and very into the church. And they would always tell me and him to go to church on Sundays and all that kind of stuff. But, I grew up, as I stated previously, as a Jehovah's Witness. So I was familiar with the Bible, like reading it front to back. I understood it. Not understood it, but I was familiar with, reading the Bible. I understood it the way I was trained to understand it. So this being pregnant for the third time, it was a true turning point because we had his mother had started to my ex-husband's mother had started to stay with us a couple of days out the week just to help out with the daily stuff and the kids while we both were working and stuff. So she helped a lot tremendously. And I remember I had to be like 8 months pregnant or so with my third child, and I was going through a box of things in my room, and I had run across one of my Bibles that I had, and I remember thinking I haven't read it in a long time. I haven't opened it, and only time I would is if I went to church with them, and then of course I'd bring it with me. But I haven't sat down on my own and opened this in a long time. And so one night I took it and I just said, I'm just gonna open this and read the first verse that I look at. I look down and read the first verse, and this chapter and verse that I opened it to is Jeremiah 10. So if anybody's familiar with Jeremiah 10, you all know what that says. It speaks about, a tree being decked out with, decorations and, ornaments and gold and silver and all that kind of stuff. So as I'm reading this, I hadn't read this in, a couple years or so. So I literally opened this Bible and I just looked down and started reading. And as I read that chapter, I stopped when I got to verse 4, whenever it ended, verse 4 or 5. And I remember looking like, what did I just read? And I'm 8 months pregnant. We're in December. I had just bought a Christmas tree, and I hadn't decorated it. It had been sitting there for like a week and a half, and I hadn't felt like it. Like I usually I did decorate. I started to, and mind you, being a Jehovah's Witness, we never celebrated any holidays or birthdays or anything like that. I started celebrating holidays when I had my daughter, because my mother and everybody was celebrating the holidays, and when I had my daughter, I didn't start celebrating holidays until I had my daughter, which was in the year 2000. And when I stopped at verse 4, like I said, it was like, what is this saying? And I read it again, and I'm like, is this talking about Christmas? And so I'm like, I know this is not what I'm reading, because why am I just not reading this? As long as I've been in the church, and as long as I've read this Bible so many times, I don't remember reading this. So I get up and I go find my ex-husband, and he's in the living room, and I said, here, I want you to read that. I'm not gonna tell you anything, I just want you to read it. I'm gonna go, and then I'm gonna come back, and then you tell me what you think that says. And he's like, okay. So, I let him have it, and then I come back a couple minutes later, and I said, did you read it? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, what does that say? What did you just read? And he said, Christmas? And I'm like, okay, so it's not just me. I'm seeing Christmas too. So you do see that says like a Christmas tree, right? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, that's the first time I'm seeing this. For as long as I've read the Bible, that's the first time I'm seeing this verse, and I just flipped to it. And he was like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. I just flipped to it. Like, I opened it and I just read it. I said, so it's telling us not to do this thing. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, so why are we doing this? And he's like, man, Tiffany, I don't know. Everybody does it. And I'm like, yeah, but why are we doing it if the Bible's telling us that we're not supposed to be doing it, though? And he's like, I don't know, Tiffany. And I'm like, oh, well, we're not supposed to. And he's like, okay, so what? You're not going to decorate the Christmas tree? I'm like, no, I'm not decorating the Christmas tree. And so he's like, okay, well, then the girls can decorate the Christmas tree. I'm like, okay, but I'm not celebrating Christmas. I'm not doing this. And he was like, for real, you're not going to do it? I said, no, I'm not. And so he's like, okay, fine. He's like, fine, I don't care. I don't care. Because I'm just going to say this out. He's probably not going to not be too happy about what I'm about to say, but he is, and he knows this about himself. He's very cheap. So, like, if he can get out of spending any type of money, he would gladly cut the holidays out, okay? And he was happy about that. He's like, okay, fine. It's good enough for me. I ain't got to buy no gifts, no nothing. So, I'm like, yeah, so no, we're not doing this. So, that was all it took for me to stop doing that. I looked at it and I was like, oh no. And I didn't have to be a part of any religion or anything like that. This is just me reading a Bible. And if anybody that believes in the Bible and this is not for anybody who doesn't believe in the Bible, but for you guys who believe in the Bible and go to church every Sunday and actually read a Bible, then you should be wanting to do what it says in the Bible. So it didn't take anything for me to twist my hand and say, oh no. I read that and I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I don't have to do that. So it was a major turning point for me. Everything from that point on changed my entire life. My entire perception, my entire thought of things, just how I thought, what I thought about, it just changed drastically. In January, I gave birth to my third daughter. So, I have 3 girls. And I ended up naming her Eden. Garden of Eden, the very beginning. So, after I had her, things really started to change for me. I'll end it here. In the next video, I will get into how my life changed. So, I hope you guys, enjoy the video. And I will be back next week. And I'm sending all of you guys love and light always.